Jalen Brunson doesn't look like the kind of player you'd expect to dominate the modern NBA. And that's exactly why his story keeps catching people off guard, because he isn't towering over defenders, he isn't flying past everyone with elite speed, and he doesn't overwhelm the game with raw athleticism. Yet somehow, when the pressure rises and the moment gets heavy, he becomes the calm center of everything happening on the floor. At just a shade over 6 feet tall, without long arms or explosive hops, Brunson fails almost every traditional eye test, and yet, season after season, game after game, he proves that those measurements don't define greatness, especially when the stakes are high and the margin for error is razor thin. That truth was impossible to ignore in Las Vegas, where the New York Knicks leaned on Brunson once again, trusting him to guide them through chaos, resistance, and elite competition, eventually rallying past the San Antonio Spurs for a 123-114 win to capture the 2025 Emirates NBA Cup, a victory that felt earned, controlled, and almost inevitable once Brunson took command. This wasn't about one hot night or a lucky shooting stretch, because Brunson's performance in the championship game, where he finished with 25 points and 8 assists while logging a grueling 41 minutes, was simply the final chapter of a tournament run that showcased his consistency, leadership, and ability to rise exactly when his team needed him most. When Brunson was on the floor during the title game, the Knicks outscored the Spurs by 18 points, a massive swing that explains everything about his impact, because even when he isn't scoring in bunches, the game slows down, the right decisions get made, and New York suddenly looks like the team in control. San Antonio didn't make it easy, throwing multiple guards at him, rotating Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox, and Dylan Harper in constant waves, hoping to speed him up, wear him down, or force mistakes. Yet Brunson absorbed the pressure, kept his balance, and continued to make the correct read possession after possession, as if the moment never rattled him. What makes Brunson's dominance so fascinating is how quiet it often looks compared to other superstar guards, because while Luka Doncic overwhelms defenders with size and step-back threes, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander carves them up with length and efficiency, Brunson does his damage with patience, footwork, timing, and an elite understanding of space. The numbers back it up too, because Brunson is averaging just under 29 points per game this season, along with more than 6 assists, while shooting close to 49% from the field and nearly 38% from three, production that places him firmly alongside names like Stephen Curry and Tyrese Maxey in the upper tier of NBA guards. When you compare him directly to the league's elite, the perception gap becomes clear, because Luka leads all guards with nearly 35 points per game, and Shai isn't far behind at over 32. But Brunson's value shows up in the way his teams consistently win the minutes he plays, especially when the game tightens late. Advanced metrics reflect that impact, as Brunson's efficiency rating sits well above league average, and his on-court offensive numbers consistently place the Knicks among the league's best late-game units, particularly in fourth quarters, where decision-making often matters more than raw athleticism. That's why the Knicks trust him completely in closing moments, because whether it's isolating for a tough mid-range jumper, drawing help and finding an open shooter, or simply slowing the pace to protect a slim lead, Brunson understands winning basketball at a level few players truly do. One of the most telling moments of the NBA Cup championship didn't even come from a shot or an assist, but from what happened after the final buzzer, when instead of celebrating himself, Brunson immediately embraced the reserves, pulling Tyler Kolek, Jordan Clarkson, and Mitchell Robinson into the moment, and making sure their contributions were front and center. Kolek helped manage the ball against aggressive Spurs pressure. Clarkson poured in 15 crucial points off the bench, and Robinson dominated the paint with 15 rebounds in just 18 minutes, efforts that mattered even more knowing every player on the winning roster earned a $500,000 bonus for capturing the cup. That moment perfectly captured Brunson's leadership, because while he was deservedly named NBA Cup MVP, joining LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo as the only winners of the award so far, he never once made the night about himself. Over the course of the tournament, Brunson's scoring line read like a superstar resume, with performances of 29, 33, 37, 35, 40, and 25 points, knocking down an impressive 46% of his three-point attempts, a number that forced defenses to respect every inch of the floor he stepped on. In the quarterfinals, he dismantled Toronto with 35 points on 13 of 19 shooting, including 6 threes, and then followed it up by torching Orlando for 40 points in the semifinals, pushing the Knicks into their first title game of any kind since 1999 and reigniting belief across the franchise. For a city that hasn't seen a championship parade since 1973, and for a fan base that has lived through decades of rebuilds, disappointment, and false hope, this NBA Cup represents more than a mid-season trophy because it signals progress, belief, and a legitimate foundation for something bigger. History reminds us that winning the NBA Cup doesn't guarantee a championship in June, as both the Lakers and Bucks learned in recent seasons, but it undeniably changes perception, raises expectations, and forces the rest of the league to view New York as a real contender. Under first-year head coach Mike Brown, whose strategic adjustments and trust in his bench played a major role in the Cup run, the Knicks have developed a clear identity, built around discipline, depth, and a point guard who thrives when responsibility is at its heaviest. Brown has emphasized that Brunson's greatest strength isn't just his scoring, but his ability to stay level-headed, to avoid emotional swings, and keep the team focused regardless of the moment, a quality that separates good players from true leaders. As the season moves forward, Brunson's name will only climb higher in MVP discussions, especially when compared to other elite guards, because while Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Curry, and Maxey bring highlight reel dominance, Brunson brings control, reliability, and an unmatched comfort in close games. One trophy for the 2025-2026 season is already secured, but more importantly, the Knicks have proven they possess a championship-level piece, a player who might not dominate headlines every night, but dominates moments, and in this league, moments decide everything. And if this NBA Cup run is any indication of what's ahead, then the biggest dreams in New York no longer feel distant or unrealistic, because when you have a player built for big moments, the biggest stages start to feel at home. If you're enjoying this breakdown and you love real NBA storytelling, take a second to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments what you think Jalen Brunson's ceiling really is.